Today we are joined by a really good friend of mine, a friend for over 10 years. She has been a huge support system to me in the last couple of years. She's been through a lot of things with me, like a lot of different eras of my life, and also a co-host of another podcast named Rice Wash Podcast, a little plug in there. But yeah, today we are joined by my good friend, Catherine. Thanks for coming.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you introduce yourself a bit, just to let them know who you are?
Yeah. So my name is Catherine. I am one of Josh's friends, obviously.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, what do I do? I am a millennial. I'm a spin enthusiast.
Yes, she is.
Outdoors enthusiast, also a bubble tea enthusiast.
We like to thank Dainty for these bubble teas.
Yes, they were very busy today, but I pushed through.
Pushed through.
Yeah, as Josh said, I am the co-host of our other podcast, Rice Washed. We've been doing that for almost a year now.
Oh my gosh.
Coming on to a year.
Almost a year. Wow.
Yeah. What else do I do? I like food. I work. That's about it. This podcast is about Josh, though.
Yeah, this podcast is about me. Catherine has basically been a really good friend of mine, and actually when I was coming home from my haircut, as you can see.
Thought something's
thank you. I was like trying to count how many years we were friends, because I think it's since like 2010, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's crazy. We met in high school.
In grade 10. I was in grade 10.
I was in grade 9.
Yeah.
And we met like, our friendship kind of started as like friends of friends, if I remember correctly. I remember Catherine as like the short Filipino girl, like in the grade above me. And so like I think I was friends with like Mel and Maria and them, and then that's how I met Catherine. And we kind of like, it's honestly weird thinking back on it, because I know we talked about this on our other podcast, but I don't remember a specific moment that we were like, oh my gosh, we're friends now.
No, I have this one random memory of us standing, you know, when you walk into the front door of the school, there's that weird like open area.
Yeah.
I'm standing there and I have a memory of you just walking up to me and just being like, hi. Maybe that was
big
it.
Extroverted Josh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, hi.
Making friends?
Yeah.
What is that like? But I think it was like, so we were in band together when you were in grade 11, right? Is that correct? And then, but we actually took chemistry 12 together, and as well as bio 12 together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what like helped our friendship. We also just like hung out a lot, like outside of school. Like we would just lie on the fields or like,
yeah, or in the band room.
And I think we just kind of like, ever since then, even after you graduated, we still did like board game nights. You were in our choir, you came to our church stuff, and then just kind of the friendship has kind of continued on from there.
Yeah.
It's been kind of crazy thinking about like
how far we have
how
come,
far we
and
have
how
become,
long we've actually known
how
each
tall
other.
I've become,
And how I have not grown
Catherine's
tall.
like, I just stopped at like grade.
I was 12, I think, when I stopped growing. Josh is probably still growing.
You know what? Actually, my mom measures me by how I walk by the fridge. Yeah.
So cute.
So like, actually, when I first went to like a really good chiropractor, she noticed that I did get taller because my spine was whack, apparently.
It was whack.
Yeah, it was curved, apparently.
You have scoliosis?
No, just like it's a little bit of a curve.
Oh,
and that
curvy.
was a sign about how I wasn't straight. Okay.
Your spine knew. It was like, nope, this boy ain't straight.
Okay, so this podcast, I'd like to thank Catherine for being the first guest on here, because I still am figuring out how I want, how to lay out this whole podcast, and it's like really nerve-wracking. I'm actually nervous.
I'm nervous too.
Like chatting, because this is fresh. This is something brand new. The podcast trailer literally just came out last week. So it's been like a whirlwind of thoughts and like trying to plan this out, but I want it to be as genuine as possible, I guess.
Yeah, you want it to be like raw, but also
some kind of structure, you know?
Yes, kind of scripted.
Yeah.
But like not too scripted where it's like rigid.
So I sent Catherine just like some questions and things to think about as we talk today. And so bear with us as we have these conversations. I'm sure we'll jump around, but I feel like that's how, normal conversations go. But yeah, so my podcast trailer came out last week and it's just been very freeing in a lot of ways. And so I think I want to talk to you just about like our friendship, and because like I said, we've been friends for over probably 12 years now. So you know me, known the Josh different parts of it. Although like I think our friendship never really changed much. We were still really goofy and derpy, but I think you probably did notice a change in like how I interacted with people, or like my, I don't know, extrovertedness, introvertedness. So do you remember like in high school, like what kind of person I was?
Like basically what you said, I remember you just being like super outgoing, like super friendly to just like everyone. You were really good at like getting people together for events or like hanging out and stuff like that. Just an overall just a very like pleasant and nice person to be around. And you're still like that. Like I feel like that generally hasn't changed. Yeah.
Okay. I know that like someone has told me that one of my gifts is bringing people together, like community-based stuff, which I think is really cool. Although like maybe it was a gift that I worked on through high school, even though I thought it was all an act for to hide things. But I know that people have told me on multiple occasions that I do have this gift of connecting people.
It does just like come, I feel like it seems like it does come naturally to you. You're just like, hey everyone,
Let's do this thing.
go.
And everyone's like, okay. I'm like, thank you for saying yes.
What if everyone's just like, no?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, bye.
But is there anything else in high school that you were like, that was different than how I am now?
What's different? You're more like confident now, but it's not like cocky confident. It's
We
just
hate
like a
people with
more,
egos. Sorry.
it's like you're more self-assured now.
Compared
Kind
to
of
like
in the
that.
way that I see how you carry yourself too is different. Like you're just kind of like standing a little taller and like
I was like more straight.
taller than me. Standing more straight. Yeah.
That's actually really interesting.
And like in the way that you dress and stuff too. Like you can tell that there is more confidence there as well.
Yeah. It took a while.
Josh
took
in
a
high
really
school
long time.
lived in jeans and baggy hoodies.
I lived in jeans and bright colored clothing.
Yeah,
Like
actually.
really bright clothes.
Like he always wore, there was that orange hoodie. I remember there was that like white Hollis.
White of all
Yeah.
colors.
I only remember those two.
Yeah.
And jeans.
And jeans.
Yeah.
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 And,
And your long hair.
oh my gosh, I still have Asian fro. It's just I have permed it to hide. I had to mask it. But my hair was like, I look back on the photos, it was literally just like a mop. It was super long. I didn't care much about it. But I'm glad that I've changed. Kat is like, me too.
I mean, you didn't dress horribly back then. It was like a typical high schooler.
Okay,
Right.
You know what I think about? This is a side note, sorry. Like in high school now, everyone dresses basically the same way.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of influences in the way people dress, but back then, like we all had our own distinct thing that we wore or we dressed like,
It's true.
right? But
Yeah.
now it's kind of like everyone just wears the
The
same thing.
I was, okay, other side note. I was at Save On Foods on my lunch.
Yeah.
And now that school's back, all the students are back. So they're all there on their lunch at Save On too. And you're looking around and yeah, they all wear the exact same thing.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I'm actually like glad we didn't have social media, but that's a huge rant we could talk
That's
about
another
later.
thing that discusses.
That's another thing we can discuss. So this is like a couple years after high school. So this is 2015 is when I shared my testimony. And I know Catherine was still my friend like from high school onwards to this moment. But like you were at my testimony sharing, right? Was
Yeah.
that right? Is that how you heard?
I was there.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
there. I was shook at the...
She was shook it to the core. because honestly my curiosity is like when I shared it to you, do you remember like the reaction you had to, well, just my sexuality, but also the stories I told like from high school? It's like,
Okay. That was a lot, first
I-
of all, on that day.
yeah.
I knew I was coming to your testimony. I didn't expect your testimony to be that, though. So, like, and how the way that you opened it, too.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there, I was like, this is happening right
Yeah.
now. Like, Josh is telling us this.
I remember, okay, this is funny enough. I remember the day of my testimony sharing. I was like, did not have an appetite. I could not
so
eat.
nervous.
But I was not nervous the day before. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. This is finally my time to share with everybody.
Yeah.
But that day, I was so nervous, and to the point where like I was the last person to share. If I remember correctly, because I knew I needed the time to just calm the f down.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that's almost worse.
Yeah, but like
Well,
I think
it's
needed.
good that you went
I needed
last, too,
it,
because
yeah.
yours was kind of like...
Mine was long.
Huge.
And huge like punch the face in a way, or kind of like, here's literally actually what happened.
Here's everything.
Here's everything.
Just lay it
Sorry,
out.
keep going with your reaction.
Oh, yeah, okay. I remember crying. I remember a lot of people crying.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same sis.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was just like overall just like super shocked. I wasn't like surprised about the sexuality part because I feel like I kind of knew,
Mm-hmm.
but that part didn't really matter to me because like you're my friend, right? The stories you shared along with it though shook me because I didn't know that through high school. I had
Nothing.
no idea. Josh hit it too well.
People tell me I should be an actor because I was acting all throughout high school.
Like I honestly had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. So I think that was the main part, was just the stories. I was like, wait, this all happened and I had no idea.
And with people that we were close to, like our close
Yeah.
friend circle.
Yeah.
And like I think back on it, and I was like, wow, I was so nice to everybody, even though they all treated me really badly.
I was gonna say you were surprised you didn't snap.
I mean, like I said, this is gonna go everywhere because my brain's just thinking about a whole bunch of things now. But I think one of the reasons why it was kind of like a response, it was like a trauma response, was that I could keep everything controlled. Like if I snapped, things would go haywire, and like things, friendships would break, people would get angry at each other. But I didn't want that to happen because I didn't want the unknown to happen. Isn't that weird to think about?
Yeah. I understand that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I think back on those situations where I could have like totally shown light on like the situation, but I didn't want to deal with more than I was handling at that time.
That's fair. Can you imagine though?
Can you imagine the tea? I could just like literally set fires everywhere.
Oh my gosh. That'd be so cool.
Can we go back in time, please?
Go back in time and just see what alternate universe where Josh snaps.
Josh, no, it's like, and I mean, to be fair, what was cool was that even at the testimony sharing, like some of those people came, right? And so, like although it was really painful, I could see that they still cared. But I'm not gonna, agree with what they did. But the fact that they came to support me during that testimony sharing meant a lot. But was it hard? It still bothers me to this day, and it doesn't bother me as much. But
Did any of them apologize after they heard the testimony?
I think
Or, like,
so. The
reach
people that
out,
came
or-
to my testimony were people that knew already. So they were there because they wanted to support this story that was being shared. But in terms of apology, not really. See, and like that's the thing, is like I think back about our friends that were around, like if I had shared and brought this up, you guys would have defended me. Like you guys would have called those people out. But like I said, I think I just didn't want any like conflict. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Which is like really sad because I was hurting a lot
Yeah.
during that time.
Yeah. Hurt them now.
Hurt them now.
No, don't hurt anybody.
What piques my curiosity now, like when I shared my trailer, was that I saw how people like it. people that actually hurt me a lot in high school like it, like just love it. And for me, it's like, do you even recognize and realize that like literally some of the quotes in that video were from you?
That's
like,
interesting.
Right? Like, do you know, like there's that scene in the video with this whole bunch of like quotes and like different things. Yeah, some of those people that said those things were who liked my video. And for me, it's like, I appreciate that they're sending love, sending hugs on Facebook, but for me, it's like, do you know, like that was actually you?
Yeah.
Right?
It almost feels like if I were in your situation, I'd be like, is this more of like a petty kind of like pity like? Like, I don't know. That kind of makes me uncomfortable.
A little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I always think about high school and think about teenagers are dumb. I'm sorry, if you're a teen right now, we don't think straight.
No, you don't. Just wait till you're in your late 20s and you're like, ooh.
You start to actually like, you're more aware about the things that you say and you do, right? Or hopefully you are. And so a lot of the things that were said to me or done to me were probably out of emotion and just fear. And I was just an easy target. I was just like the nice person who maybe they knew that I wouldn't have reacted poorly, or they knew that I wouldn't have done anything. And that's why they did it to me. And kind of like, in a way, I like think back on when I was younger and blame myself because I knew what they were doing. Like, I was kind of like woke, you know, in that way. Like, I kind of knew that these people were going through something, or just doing it out for attention, or just out of fear, or whatever the case is, right? And so, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot. Sorry, it's just a lot of thoughts going through my brain right now. But high school was a really tough time.
How was middle school?
Middle school was only kind of around grade 8, so that's kind of when I first realized my attraction.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the acting started. I think that's when like I really made an effort to like be really nice to people and really kind to people. And like even actually some of those friends from middle school liked my post, and that was really sweet because I don't think they knew. But that's kind of also like, I think back on it, I was able to tell 3 people in middle school. Like,
That's
although
crazy because
right?
that seems so young.
Yeah, and like thinking back when we were in middle school, this topic wasn't talked about. Like, it was still taboo. And I was like, I think back, I'm like, wow, I had so much courage to just be like, yo, this is what's happening in my life. And although like in the video it shares that like they left, so like by high school they were kind of not really in my life, I think about, wow, I had so much courage already as a kid to just be like, I need help. I need someone to talk to, right? And it's actually really interesting. The day the video came out, I left for a day, like, to turn off my phone, but I actually had gone out to a park, and that was where I shared for one of the first people.
Same park?
And I literally have a video vlog of it, because I remember just sitting there being like overwhelmed, because I was like, how of all things did I come back to this park? It wasn't even planned. It was just like, oh, I need to wait to pick up my friend, and then
you just have a full circle
moment,
circle,
right? And me just sitting there being like, who would have thought, like 14 years later, that I would come back to this place where I shared my heart to, my friends, right?
Man, grade 8 Josh would have been so proud.
Grade 8
if grade 8 Josh could see Josh now, he'd be like, yes.
Right? And I honestly, like, thinking back on grade 8, I don't think I would have even like been here. I think I was such a like dark place that like I couldn't even imagine my future. Like, now as an adult, after sharing this trailer, I finally feel like I could actually see a future. And isn't that really sad? Like, to think
you didn't see that at all before the trailer?
I think I was so like in the present moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, the bubble tea is giving me a lot of phlegm. I was just so caught up in the moment and fear of the next day that I didn't want to think about it. And like, it's like, for example, it's a really sad thing to think about, but like I never really. Oh my gosh, this lamp.
Is there water?
Excuse me, my water's upstairs. Like it wasn't until my nephew was born that I felt like I had a purpose, and that's really sad to think about, right?
That's
like
interesting. So like
yeah,
a majority. So say like from between grade 8 to say like last year,
yeah.
you were solely living in like the present.
I was solely
like, that
living
fear,
like day to day, like not even thinking about the future,
Interesting.
right? And I think that's why whenever I think about, for example, housing finances, that I'm scared because I don't want to think about it. I don't want to even think about that future because I don't know if it will come.
Yeah. So now that you've released the trailer and you've kind of found that you're able to think into the future more, does that bring you like calmness, or does that scare you? Because I feel like that's like a lot all of a sudden.
Both.
Yeah.
In a sense that like I am less like anxious about everything day to day. Like I'm more like whatever, chill, and like knowing that things will be provided, God will provide all those things. To like scare because like for example I received a lot of love from this trailer, and it really warmed my heart, but I already know this is the start of a huge conversation, and I know that there will be haters, right? And there will be people who will attack against me. And so I think it's kind of both of that, but generally I'm in a better mindset of like thinking about what I want to do in the future or what I want in my life, because I couldn't think of a future at all. And my nephew was like basically like this person that like I was like, this is somebody I want to protect. This is somebody I want to protect from like the hurt that I had as a kid, and to the traumas I have from church, to traumas I have from my culture, like right. And seeing him grow up, it's been so beautiful. And it's kind of like one of those things of like, when you can think of a future with a significant other, right? But I never had that. I never even like, it wasn't until like last year or whatever that I even thought about dating, and even then I couldn't even think about having a future with somebody. But when my nephew was born, like that was like, here we go.
Very eye-opening,
right? And like it's sad to think about that. Yeah.
kind of. It's definitely a different perspective too. It's different from like what I experienced, so hearing it from you is just like
Whoa. But yeah, I am happy I'm in a better place of like being able to think positively about my future rather than just like day to day not really feeling much, honestly. Like but like I don't know, I wouldn't say I had a terrible couple of years. I like had a really fun times with you guys.
Yeah.
I can't lie and say I didn't enjoy them, but it's just like future things. I don't know, it just didn't bother me. Like I think I just been so emotionally drained that I just didn't like care anymore.
Yeah. Just numb.
Yeah, just literally just numb.
Have you received any hate since the trailer came out?
Not yet.
Okay. I was like, who's hating already? Let me add them.
I feel like if they did hate on the Facebooks, I have many people who would attack them. Like and that's the thing that I didn't think about, because I was so scared of just myself. That I forget, like the video showed me and made me remember like how much support of just people who love me. And maybe they don't necessarily totally agree with this situation of my sexuality, but they love me. And that like is for me like really touching, right? Because I was so terrified. I was so scared that these relationships I had with these people from whatever age, my high school friends to church friends to uncles and aunties, would be gone. And like in high school, like there were like so many times where I want to share with you, but I was so scared of the unknown. I was so scared that this friendship would just be done because so many people did that to me in high school.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's all you knew.
Yeah, that's all I knew.
So like that's what you'd expect.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
And so like, and I think that's why like I had like even like some of my best friends, like I didn't tell until way later, right? And because I just like, this was so comfortable, it was so nice to just like lead this friendship as it is, but to the detriment of me just feeling like I was lying to myself, or me just being like I'm lying to you, or not being able to share this super personal thing. But like I think I always tell people, and of course it's something that you don't listen to your own advice, but like like people, if you share something and they don't react the best, then maybe they don't deserve to be a part of your life, you know.
Yeah.
And
you're not responsible for how people react to your situation.
Exactly.
That's a big thing I learned recently too.
Yeah.
It's like you can't control how they react.
Yeah.
But you can control how you react. Yeah.
Hear that, folks?
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in to our first episode of the Open Closet Podcast. If you'd like to continue to follow me on my journey, you can follow me on my Instagram at the Open Closet Media, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you would like to follow me on my personal Instagram, you can follow me at jmkpoon.
I wanted to touch, like you mentioned, being comfortable. So do you feel like in this point in your life now, you're like uncomfortable?
This is
there's
the
a lot
most
of, like, new things happening, and
this is the most comfortable I've ever been with myself. This is the most happy I have been with my body, with how I look, with my confidence, with anything. Like, I don't ever remember feeling this way. But I live day to day. Now, ever since that video came out, I live with more joy. I live with knowing, like, you know what? Yes, I am unemployed, but man, I get to hang out with my parents. I get to spend time with them. Like, that's such a blessing that I think about people who didn't have the chance or don't have the chance. I get to hang out with my friends if, like, at night, or maybe some friends have days off. We can go get coffee. Like, but like all that, I didn't think about. I didn't like. I didn't get any. I didn't like think about that joy in that. I just thought of it as I'm wasting my time, or you know what I mean. It's like a weird, like, it's just so negative.
Like you thought being unemployed was a waste of time?
Yeah. I thought of it as like, I'm not being successful, I'm wasting my time, I'm, you know, not being able to provide for my family. But like, I get to spend time with my family. I get to spend time with my nephew. Like, if I was working, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
I can see how you would have thought that, because knowing you, like, I think ever since I've known you, basically you've been working.
Yeah.
Like, you've been hauling.
Yeah.
Like, even when you were in Vancouver, you were just like working full time as a teacher.
Yeah.
And then doing all this other stuff and editing and like all that.
Yeah.
So I can see why finally having time off would just be weird.
I feel like this, like, me sharing this, you know, this part of me, this personal part of me, has made everything kind of balanced. Like, it finally feels like things are just so calm that I feel like I'm okay with just sitting in silence, or like I'm okay with sitting in my thoughts now, because it's out there. Like, my thoughts are finally out, or they're going to be more out as I talk to different people on this podcast, because there's so many things that have happened in my life that I hope to share. But like, I feel like, just like I said, just the sense of joy and peace in my body.
That's so nice.
And like, people don't really think about the emotional burden it has on your body, but I feel so, maybe not in weight, but very light. You know, like,
yeah, like a weight's been lifted off
like,
your shoulders.
totally. Like, and I think my parents noticed too. Like,
Have they mentioned it?
they had like kind of been like, oh, you seem a little happier. Like, even though like, yes, I can still be my sassy self, but generally like I feel like smiling more. Like, and is that really sad? Is that really sad?
Kind of, but it's good.
Like I can feel like
You're
my
genuinely
emotions.
joyous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, for me, it's like, wow, that's so sad that because of these things that people did to me and the thing I thought about myself, all these things just tore that joy out of me, right? And like even today, like some of my colleagues sent photos of some of the kids and they were like saying, we miss you, and it's just like, wow, like I miss them too. And I was just like, but man, I feel like I need to be right here where I am. Like I can't imagine being back at work and doing that same thing I did in the last couple of years, just hiding and just not saying anything and like not really being genuine, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
That's so cool. I'm so glad.
yeah.
There's so many changes and it's so good.
There's so many changes.
It's so good. He's unemployed.
Don't focus on that. I'm unemployed and
It's the best thing that's ever happened to
it's
you.
the best thing that's ever happened to me. And but at the same time, you know how I don't know, many of my friends have been telling me like, maybe this is your time for a season of rest. And for me, I think the fact that I shared everything, I feel rested even from that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've slept 12 days. Why 12 days? I don't know why I said 12, but like I just feel rested. Like I feel like not tired. And I don't realize how, like I said, that emotional burden just made me feel exhausted and made me feel like I didn't have energy to do anything or any to focus. But like the last couple of days, like I edited our like next episode on Rice Watch in like a day. I was so focused. I was so like go.
That's
My list is so good, right? And like me thinking, oh, what can I do? Like how can I do this? I feel like I'm back in a place of like Josh being able to do things that I don't feel scared working. I don't feel scared even getting a part-time job right now because I feel like I can just be myself. And I wonder if the last couple of years of working was because I couldn't be myself, that I was like that added extra work to be at work.
Because it was work and there was also where you were working too.
Yeah.
That didn't really help either.
Yeah. And even my community there, my church community, right? It wasn't until the second last month before I moved that I shared, and then that changed everything.
Wow.
And like it's like being genuine does change a lot of how you are as a person, right? And it wasn't like I was lying in terms of who I was. Like I still consider myself a caring, kind person, but I just couldn't share this thing that was something negative in my life for so long that I think that I felt like I had to I had to analyze everything I said, everything I did, everything I wore.
You hid that.
Yeah.
aspect.
Even like, this is so stupid, but like the smallest things of who I follow on Instagram.
Really?
Like what happens if this person finds out I follow this other guy on this Instagram account? Like,
really?
Like, and like you think about like, for me, it's like people can just add people. They don't care. And I'm like beating myself up for that.
That's interesting.
Right?
So now you just follow whoever you want?
I haven't yet. I don't know. Oh, maybe I'll just go on that follow spree.
You can follow whoever you want now.
You know, like, and, you know, I didn't realize, like, I think as this journey goes on, I will start to realize the small little things that I've overanalyzed in everything. Literally so many things. I think that's also why I didn't wear certain colors too.
What colors would you not wear?
Just like colors in general.
I mean, yeah.
Colors in general. Like, because I didn't want people to see that, or, you know, like.
Think you were like flamboyant or something?
Yeah, exactly. Or like I always analyze how I talked, like in front of specific people, like my tone of voice, like stupid things like that. Like, but this was literally like, I think, God-given voice, God-given body, God-given whatever, and I'm just like beating myself up for the smallest things, and that's really sad.
It's kind of sad,
right? And it's gonna be a huge journey, I think, of rediscovering myself. And like being like, what do I actually love and enjoy, or what are the things that I want to do without that fear component in it. You know,
Yeah,
like
that's exciting.
it is exciting. So that's, I don't know, I'm excited for this next chapter, but also like slightly terrified.
I think that's okay to be terrified. I think
Because I think-
everyone's a little terrified.
Everyone's terrified. But you know what? I think I'm terrified of just realizing how much I've missed.
Yeah, but there's also so much to discover at the same time.
Yeah, so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was
This
wow.
is season how old are you? 27? Season 27.
Season
of
27. This is
Josh's
the main
life.
character arc, dude.
Villain arc? No, not yet.
Not yet. Can you imagine? Next year,
Oh my
1 year
goodness.
later, everything has changed. Okay, so these are some of the questions that I sent Catherine that I wanted her to talk about as somebody who is a friend of someone who is struggling. Like, and it wasn't just sexuality; it was mental health. It was, you know, a lot of things. Catherine knows, because I think as we got closer in our friendship, the more I share with my thoughts I had about life or my fears. And I mean, I've been there for Catherine for some of her things as well. Which honestly, this is a blessing. Like, I want to say this right now, like, this is such a blessing to have like this close of a friend since high school and see me just like, whew, like in emotion.
The roller coaster that is Josh's
The
life.
roller coaster of my life. Okay, so what was the hardest part of being my friend? Second question, like, what was the hardest thing for you to watch me go through?
Okay. I was at work when I wrote this. So
Sorry, work.
I would say, like, generally, being Josh's friend is very easy.
Oh,
Like, you're not, like, a hard person to be friends with.
yeah.
You're very, like, easygoing, and if you have, like, things that bother you say it, right? And you're not, like, disrespectful or anything like that. You're just very personable. So, yeah, just being your friend is good. I think the hardest part for me was the fact that I didn't know a lot of this stuff was happening. So like finding out years later, and I was sitting there like, wait, I went through all that and I had no idea. So that was the hardest part for me, really. And also like the stories that you told about how all these people treated you that way just like pissed me off because like I know these people too, right? And I was friends with them as well. So it made me feel like, how could I like still be friends with these people knowing that they treated my best friend this way? I still feel that way. But like I haven't seen these people in like years, so whatever. They're just yeah.
It's interesting because one of the biggest things I thought about was one of the biggest reasons why I felt so betrayed, like I think in like all those things that happened to me with those people, was that I knew, and I can say this confidently, that I was always kind. I was always loving to them. And I always blamed myself. I told myself that it was my fault they treated me that way, that I could have been better, that I could have been nicer, that, you know, I could have said something different. But like that like really ate me up. Like it
Interesting,
really
'cause
made
was
me
like
feel
always
terrible.
your fault and never
Yeah.
theirs, even though they were the ones that were being mean to you.
Like I had to learn about, I blame myself for a lot of things. I typically put the blame on me so I don't make this person look bad. But as I got older, I realized, I'm like, wow, like I was going through a lot, and like I didn't say anything about it, but I really did my best to just be kind to people. And how could they do that to me, right? And there's a lot of anger that came out of that realization in therapy, because like, but it also made me realize that you can choose how you act. You choose how you respond to things. And unfortunately after all those years, it came bitterness in me.
Yeah.
And that came out in the last couple of years. Like, and I started just being more blunt and more critical and saying whatever was on my mind because I was tired of just not saying anything.
But did that feel good?
It felt good.
Yeah.
Was it the most loving? Sometimes not.
You don't have to be loving all the time.
Right? But I kind of realized where it came from. And do I wish harm on them? No. I don't wish anything bad on those people that treated me poorly. I just hope that they learn from it. I just hope that they recognize, like, the people that liked my video. I don't know if you're listening to this, but I just hope you found whatever was bothering you or whatever you were going through, that you dealt with it, or you found ways to heal and self-discover, because the things that you say and do have so much weight on somebody else, right? So yeah, I know.
Just be kind to people.
Just be kind. Like, people are going through so much
and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
I have other things here, just like kind of over the years. When you were like talking to these people that you liked, and like hearing these stories, and just like, so from someone who's like outside of it and seeing it, I got like frustrated for you, because I was like, oh man, Josh is like such a great person, but it's just, he's picking the wrong people. Like, no.
They were all straight.
They were all straight. They're very nice, just
Yeah.
all straight. They didn't swing the right way.
Was there any like specific like situation where you're like
not really,
yeah,
because they were all very nice people, I think,
Yeah.
generally. But no. Well, maybe that. No. Okay. Yeah.
so you're like
Oh no. Yeah.
yeah.
What else? Oh, that one, was that the first year of the pandemic? Where you were just like super isolated?
Ooh.
And I also did not really know about that either. Like, he told me later, and I was like, wait, what? You what?
I one of the biggest reasons why I started this whole podcast was because in 2020, 2021, I got into a really bad mental space. Like, I was really isolated, and it was during that like BC social bubble thing, so you only had like 6 people in your bubble or whatever, and I wasn't close to anyone enough to be as part of the social bubble. So I was so isolated, and it made me just sit in all those thoughts by myself. Couldn't talk to anybody, didn't talk to anybody. I should have talked to somebody, but I got into a place, and I remember like the only thing I could think of that was similar was university high school. Like, it was that bad. And I didn't tell them until later, because, you know, classic Josh. But that was kind of a realization that I've been acting and tiring myself out for so many years that it finally just all came out. And I think from that moment on, I remember like being like, I'm gonna find ways to like help myself, go to therapy, go do exercise classes. I think therapy was a huge one, especially a faith-based one. And then, well, I got a dating app and like finally started to work on myself for once. Like, you look at a picture of me in 2019 versus now, even I remember Sherry was talking to me about it, that I look so different. Like, I look, maybe like, of course, you know, my perm and like my new clothes, but like she says, like, I look just different.
You carry yourself differently,
right?
Yeah.
And like, and that's what's sad, is like, I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I was capable to be loved. Like, that's really sad. And I don't recommend do what I did. I recommend you talking to somebody, anyone who's listening, because I think the pandemic made me realize how much this story or this part of my life was important for me to be genuine and to just be myself. And it's not like I'm like being like, hey everyone, I'm gay, like it's just a part of my life. Like, it's just part of who I am, but it's not a defining factor. You know, like, I think I could probably say for Catherine, like, when she heard my testimony, it didn't change anything other than the fact that she was mad at people.
Now I'm just mad.
She was
I'm just
angry.
mad.
Well, yeah, I don't recommend that. I recommend everyone to go to therapy.
Please do.
Please do. Highly recommended.
Would you say that like that year was kind of like when you hit like rock bottom? Yeah. That was really like.
That was like I hit rock bottom as an adult in terms of like career, because I was not enjoying my job at that time. To community, so I didn't have much of a community in Vancouver. To just personal, like literally everything just hit rock bottom.
There's just a lot of stuff that was just bad timing.
It's bad timing.
Just moved, new job,
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Like.
But like that was literally the catalyst trigger to do this. Like, isn't that so? That's, I think, in a way, this in terms of faith-based thinking, that I had to be stripped down of everything in order for God to speak to me and be like, you need to do something about it. Do I recommend it? No. But that was the only way God could finally talk to me, because I think I just overworked myself to not think about anything. Classic Josh move. It's been like this since high school. But yeah, it was a dark time, but I needed it. Yeah.
It's going to sound mean, but like I'm glad that you hit rock bottom in order for you to
Thanks.
get better. There's no way to say that nicely.
Yeah. What else? Yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
I feel like I've kind
honestly
of asked
curious.
them along the way. I have other like tidbits that I thought about. How have you changed over the years? Going back to like how you've changed, I have a bunch of these like little things I
Oh no.
just like especially over this past year, I've noticed a lot of these things. One thing, like I generally feel like you're very like methodical with how you like to do things. Like you like to have a plan.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I know what's going on, but I can see now that you're kind of just more like YOLOing stuff and like just like into trying new things.
Sherry changed my name on her phone to Joshua YOLO Face Poon because I'm literally just like whatever.
Just do it, and I
Yeah.
think that's really cool.
I haven't had that before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always, like you said, I've literally always been like, this is my plan to hide myself. This is my plan to overwork myself so I don't have to think about
You
anything.
don't feel anything.
So I don't feel anything.
Yeah, but now you got to YOLO and try new things.
Hashtag YOLO.
Like he tried spin class. He went paddleboarding.
What else did I do? I got my ears
He
pierced.
got his ears pierced. Look at those.
Zoom in, Josh. Yeah, it's kind of just recognize like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
And like as negative as it sounds, it like the little things don't matter. It's for me what's important is how I treat people and how I love people, right? And because that literally helps define who I am, but also create the communities that I need, and then those also create connections to career, whatever things in life, right?
Yeah.
And these little aesthetic things don't change anything,
No, they just add to it.
which I was scared to because I was closeted.
What closet? There's no closet anymore.
The open closet.
It's open.
It's open now. Yeah.
There was this. I remember this. I don't remember when you made this joke. I think it's been a couple years now. But this is like recently after you had just like started coming out,
Yeah.
and you had made this joke about like liking balls, and I remember sitting there like, huh. Josh is joking about balls. That's really cool. I never thought I would hear Josh joke about balls. This has stuck with me for so long.
That was a moment when she knew.
Because knowing you from grade 10, I was
Yeah.
like, I would have never imagined Josh joking about balls right now. Like,
About them balls,
he
though.
jokes a lot about balls now.
But you know what? I think that was kind of a thing for me to not recognize reality. Like I didn't want to, because I was still, even though I came out back in 2015 or something, I was still in the process of being okay, accepting myself. That I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to joke about it. I didn't want to do all these things because I was scared of this reality. But now, like, I've accepted it. I've embraced it. And man, I joke about it a lot.
Just jokes a lot.
Right? And
that's
like
years of pent up jokes. Just
years
all
of
coming
pent
out
up ball
now.
jokes coming out now.
What else? Oh, I'm very excited to. Well, not that I don't know if you'll actually go through this, but if you ever do go through like a hoe phase, because I've been through a hoe phase.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Yeah.
You get to enjoy yourself. You get to experiment. So
Yeah.
like, I don't know if that's like the kind of thing you're into. But if you are, I'm very excited to hear about it.
I'm a good Christian boy. My hoe phase is to a certain extent. Hoe phase level 1 only.
What levels do they go to?
I don't know.
Okay, so we're maybe not expecting a hoe phase.
No. Catherine was so excited.
When he told me he was on Hinge, I was like, oh,
you were, I think, one of the first people I told, and you were so excited.
I'm so excited. I get very excited about anything Josh does.
So, and that's like side note to that topic. Like, I think I'm more open to that now. Like, I'm like, if like for me, it's like God places people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I will not disagree on that. So for me, it's like if God provides people or somebody.
Is
right?
God providing you people through Hinge? Does God work Hinge?
God, are you working in my profile? You're making me look nice.
God's
you know me.
curating your feed.
Yeah. God, please.
Can you help me out too?
Help me. Yeah.
Another thing, I was also, when I was writing this at work, I was like thinking about you and Hinge and dating, and I was like, I feel like you will like find the one, like your person pretty quickly.
Interesting.
I feel like just because with who you are now and like how you've explained like how your dates go and stuff, you like go into them like so genuinely you, and I feel like that's like a really good advantage.
Yeah.
And that like you'll just like meet up with one person and then they'll just like love you so much and that'll be it. Like that's just what I
This is a
imagine.
classic Christian story.
Really?
Like when they date for like a year and then they get married.
Okay, maybe you'll last longer than that, I think. I think.
Future Josh, if I ever find somebody, please at least give it 2 years of dating first before.
Okay, say you're dating someone
Yeah.
and you've been dating for a year and they propose. Do you say yes or do you wait?
I think there's a lot of factors to it, but I don't want to talk about that on the podcast yet.
Okay.
Catherine's too excited.
I'm excited. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm just really excited to see your dating life.
Oh, I think everybody is.
And just to see how, like, what else you do after this. Because there's, like, so much for you to discover and
I think
do.
so. I think I'm also excited, and this is like Ashley being genuine about it. Like, and it's been a tough, long couple of years, and I know that pain is not just for naught. Like, I think it really challenged me in my faith, and really challenged me as a person, as a friend, as a son, a brother, like to just kind of know God's heart and know myself, because I feel like now that these things are in place, I'm finally ready to move on and move forward with relationships, with my future career, with just myself, because I feel finally balanced. And that was something I never thought I would get to. And you know, I think about, I'm 27 and I'm like, oh man, I wasted so much time, but I needed to go through a lot. And I think if I had, let's say if, you know, that date I went on back in 2021, let's say we were dating, I think it would have not ended well. I think I actually was not ready as I thought it was back then. And, you know, I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I have my friends and family to be there for me, and God first as well. This podcast, I'm excited, and I mean, Rice Watch has been amazing too. I loved it as well. It's been just basically a gong show. But like this podcast is like I'm finally able to share my truth and just share the things that happen in my life. And I want to say this is the first episode that I'm not trying to force people to think in a certain way. I'm not trying to force the listeners or to agree with me. I'm just sharing my life. I'm just literally sharing the things and thoughts that have gone through my brain and the events that have happened and the people that were a part of it, because that shines so much light on this reality of these things happen and you can't ignore it anymore. Like, we can't allow people to get hurt just because their sexuality is not normal. And that's so stupid that people think that way, because we've been around for those who are Christians since the times of the Bible. Like, but there's just been so much harm to that community, and I feel weird, being here and representing the community, because I am a part of it, but I want to start this conversation because there's too much hurt.
And it's important to have representation too.
Yeah.
So that the younger generations, or maybe even the older ones, know that, hey, there are other people out there that are like me and they turned out okay.
Yeah.
So they'll be okay too.
I'm okay.
You're okay, right?
I'm okay. Starts crying. But yeah, I'm in a very different place now, and I'm sure you even noticed. Like, I'm way more calmer, dude. Like, I was a anxious mess. Like, like I don't know how people dealt with me, but I hid it well. I'm sure.
You hid it too well.
I hid it too well. Don't hide anymore. Share it. And if you are listening to this and you know someone who's struggling, or you're struggling, like, send me a message. I'm so happy to chat, to share my stories, and even for those who aren't struggling or don't know anybody, like, I hope this will help you in the future. Just send them a little link to this podcast, and not only will it share the stories, but spread some light and love. That's my main goal of this podcast. So, any last thoughts, Catherine? Do you have anything to say to our listeners?
Thanks for tuning in, guys, to this. I don't know if it was chaotic or all over the place.
I think it was
I
pretty
apologize.
much.
This is the first episode.
This is the first episode, and I'm glad we didn't cry.
Yeah.
I almost teared up.
Almost. Yeah.
Maybe in the future episode.
We'll wait for that.
Catherine's like, please no. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
I kind of want to end each episode by thanking my guests, saying I love them, and then we hug, and that's it.
That's gonna make me cry.
Why? Like, no.
Of all things, that's gonna make me cry.
So, Catherine, thank you for joining me today. I love you very much.
I love you.
Oh,
my dear friend.
thank you again for tuning in to the Open Closet podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel at The Open Closet Media for video episodes. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for supporting me on my journey on this podcast. Just know that God loves you very much, and I do as well. I'll see you next time.